Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round 4 of Trial by Trolley. Real quick, the game instructions are the same for every episode of this game. If you're following along or this is not your first Trial by Trolley episode, skip ahead about 2.5 minutes if you don't want to listen to the whole thing again. Here's how it works. We have a set of cards. On each one is either an innocent or a guilty party. For example, on a guilty card, we might see a bunch of mafia thugs. And on an innocent card, we might see the world's greatest physicist. Now, imagine we are conducting a trolley and we're coming up to a split track. We can't stop the trolley. We have to switch it onto one of the tracks, but there is someone or something tied to each track. No matter which way we go, we are going to kill someone or destroy something. At first glance, the choice may seem simple. Using our example above, it would be easy for us to say, run over the mafia thugs and save the physicist. But there's a catch. And this is where we bring in the modifier cards. The modifier cards contain handy statements such as, killing them will release the 13 kids they have trapped in their basement, and would literally give you the shirt off their back. Now, if the world's greatest physicist has 13 kids trapped in their basement, and the mafia thugs would literally give you the shirt off their back, maybe the choice is no longer quite so clear. So here's what we're going to do. First, I'll read Ryan his cards, letting him know who or what is tied to each of the tracks, and he'll have to explain to me who he saves and doesn't save and why. Then we'll throw in the modifier cards and see if that doesn't change his mind at all. Then we'll switch it around and it'll be my turn. The scoring is entirely subjective. We can choose to reward or not reward each other however many points we want, and the other person just has to suck it up. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights trophy.
Until we play again.
It should be noted that we are playing a modified version of this game because the correctly played version was too difficult for me to translate into podcast form. Also, once again, the game is called Trial by Trolley. It is sold by Skybound Games and is available at store.skybound.com. Link in the show notes. They are not a sponsor. The current running score is Ryan 21, Heather 26.
Wow.
Ryan, are you ready for your cards?
I am ready.
Excellent. On track number 1, a crew filming a live episode of a beloved children's TV show. On track number 2, a horrible 10-year-old influencer who makes way more money than you. Who do you save? Who do you run over with your trolley?
Well, I'm probably going to run over the 10-year-old. And here's why. I don't have issues with quote-unquote influencers that make a lot of money. Like, whatever. Like, more power to those people. I don't care. There's nothing particularly wrong with this 10-year-old, but there's only one person. Whereas on the other track, there are multiple people that aren't necessarily bad people. So in this instance, it just comes down to the amount of lives saved. IMO.
All right. Okay. I'm with you on that train of thought, but Ryan, what happens when we add the modifier cards?
Oh my gosh.
On track number 1, a crew filming a live episode of a beloved children's TV show secretly wants to die.
Okay.
On track number 2, a horrible 10-year-old influencer who makes way more money than you. Their death will inspire a world peace movement. Oh, that just made that decision super hard.
Gonna go with the 10-year-old.
All right, I'll give you 10 for that.
Woo!
All right, Ryan, your second card. Z. On track number 1, a stranded mermaid calling for help. On track number 2, a funeral procession.
Well, I'm probably going to run over the mermaid.
Okay.
Again, it just comes down to the amount of lives saved. I mean, there's nothing particularly magical about mermaids. It's not like mermaids...
Hard to disagree, but go on.
Okay, well, what's magical about mermaids? It's not like they can grant me 3 wishes. Like, what do mermaids do other than swim in the water and sing songs like...
Okay, Ariel did it better, just so you know.
Sticking forks in their hair and stuff.
I see your point, but it is at least living proof that mermaids exist, which is...
You know what? And
hotly
then
debated.
there will be dead proof that mermaids exist.
All right, Ryan, I'm just giving you a hard time. I agree with your assessment here, but what happens when we do the modifier cards?
Mm-hmm.
On track number 1, a stranded mermaid calling for help is literally drenched in Axe body spray. Not helping. Not helping, modifier
not at
cards. On track number 2, a funeral procession ignored 6 bright red warning signs, climbed 2 fences, and evaded a railroad security guard to get here.
All right, fuck it. I'm going over the funeral procession. They need to learn a fucking lesson. Is what they need to do.
Love it. Even though they're grieving and they, couldn't see through their tears, 5 points for Ryan.
Good times.
All right, Ryan. Here's your last card. On track number 1, a guy in a creepy van trying to lure children with ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
On track number 2, an influencer taking a ridiculously irresponsible selfie. Who do you save? Who do you run over? What do you do?
I'm going over the pedo.
Well, now it doesn't say he's a pedophile.
He's trying to lure children into his van with ice cream. Okay, maybe he's not, but he's definitely trying to traffic children.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So I'm going to run him over. Because the child influencer on the other track is probably going to end up in his van, so I'm just doing him a favor.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. I see where you're going, and I like it. But Ryan, What happens when we add the modifier cards? I just like saying it, okay?
I can tell.
On track number 1, a guy in a creepy van trying to lure children with ice cream lives in a trash can. He could live in his van, but whatever.
I was going to say, why doesn't he just live in his van?
On track number 2, an influencer taking a ridiculously irresponsible selfie is the worst smelling person in the world.
I don't know. There's a dude living in the trash can on the other track, so I'm just saying they probably both smell pretty bad, but I'm still going to run over Mr. Ice cream van guy.
All right, fair enough. I'll give you 2 points for that one.
Wow, progressively
Ryan,
worse. Jesus.
I know. I was just like in a really great mood at the beginning.
And then I ruined it with my Ariel singing.
You killed me with your Ariel singing. But at least you saved the mermaid. Okay, that's 17 points for you for this round, bringing your total running score to whatever 17 plus 21 is, 38. Okay. Right? I think we're good.
I'm going to take your word for it, Heather. Mental math is not my strong suit.
All right. Well, that one's easy because you just put the 7. It's 1 plus 7 and 2 plus 3. That was 38. Okay. All right. Hit me with my cards.
All right, Heather. On track number 1, there is a creepy clown card containing anywhere from 1 to every killer clown. On track number 2, a notorious cannibal.
Mm-hmm. All right, hear me out here. Both of these are killers of people. Because the clown car potentially has every killer clown in it. And the notorious cannibal is just one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, he could be finding people on the dark web that want to be eaten.
Hmm?
Not that it makes it right, but I'm just saying he might actually have consent for that somehow.
Sure.
I am going to run over the creepy clown car containing anywhere from 1 to every killer clown. That's where I'm going with this.
Okay, Heather. But what if we add in the modifier cards?
I'm sorry, you mumbled. What's it called?
Modifier cards.
Well, Ryan, let's take a look at the modifier cards. On track number 1, a creepy clown car containing anywhere from 1 to every killer clown is on their way to steal a nerd's lunch money. Bastards. Unreal.
It's not enough that they're going to kill the guy. They're going to steal his lunch money, too? Jesus. Anyways.
I know, ridiculous. On track number 2, a notorious cannibal has your phone number and knows where you live. Well, that changes things slightly. You know what? I can just move. I can move. I can kill all the killer clowns
and
then move.
I like it, Heather. 20 points for you.
Oh my God. I'm going to win.
Let me get your next cards, Heather. Hold on.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes.
On track number 1, a heckler.
Ooh, okay.
On track number 2, a brilliant young lawyer fighting to make the world a better place. Who do you save and why?
Well, Ryan, I'm going to save a brilliant young lawyer fighting to make the world a better place because hecklers suck. By the way, heckling is rude and savage and just not proper. Even if I agree with what the heckler is saying, I still look down on the heckler for being an asshole.
Well done, Heather. I'm proud of you.
And I pointed my finger pointedly over and over again while I was making that speech.
Yes, you did. But Heather...
I did. Yes.
What if you add in the modifier
cards? On track number 1, a heckler donates blood every week and will continue to do so for the rest of their life.
Sounds like they're going to bleed themselves dry within a couple weeks. But sure.
Good point. Oh, every week. Yeah, just realized you can't do it every week. They don't let you. You got to wait at least 5 weeks till the next one. On track number 2, a brilliant young lawyer fighting to make the world a better place is actually 3 kids in a trench coat. I mean, look, since the heckler's going to kill himself anyway, I might as well just make it fast so he doesn't have to drain himself of blood over the course of several weeks. I'm still going to hit the heckler.
How much does he? A pint? Did you say a pint a week? A gallon a week?
He just donates blood every week.
How much?
And will continue to do so for the rest of his life. It doesn't say.
Hey, Siri. How much blood does one usually donate? 450 millimeters or approximately 1 U.S. pint. Okay. Hey, Siri. How many pints of blood in the human body? 8 to 10 pints. So, Heather, I'm going to give you 1 point, and here's why.
Okay.
Let's say he has 10 pints of blood in him. That's 10 lives he could save.
I forgot about that. I just don't want to hit 3 kids in a trench coat that are like making the world a better place and fooling everybody into thinking they're one single grown up.
Heather, I changed my mind. I'm going to give you 10 points because you're right. They're fighting to make the world a better place, so they're probably going to end up saving a lot more lives than 10 lives. I'm with you on that. Okay, I changed my mind.
Thank you. But you brought up an excellent point I did not genuinely think of. You're absolutely right in that. All right, let's bring on that more competitive sibling rivalry we're so good at. We're being too nice to each other. What's going on?
All right, Heather, on track number 1, a fully furnished home available to rent and well under your price range. On track number 2, a completely functional Batmobile with your name on it.
Well, Ryan, here's the deal, right? A fully furnished home available to rent and well under my price range. And it's on a railroad track, which means I could conceivably have that placed really anywhere I want it to be. that's highly enticing for me because we want to move a little more into the country.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can do that. Meanwhile, as cool as the Batmobile is, I'm pretty sure the insurance rates on that thing are well out of our budget range.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hefty insurance. I just realized you could figure out that Batman is Bruce Wayne just by following the paper trail. So that's exciting. Anyway.
Does Batman need insurance? I mean, he's rich enough that, he could just...
Well, yeah, I guess you're right about that. I forgot that rich people maybe don't get insurance because they can just pay for everything. Is that, like, the uber wealthy, do they just not have insurance for anything?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Legally, you have to have insurance. At least
on
here
an
in the
automobile.
U.S.
Yeah.
But if you're Bruce Wayne and you're a crime-fighting vigilante
Mm-hmm.
and you have to stay under the radar, sometimes you got to bend a few rules to make that happen.
Well, Ryan, you may have a point there, and that just shriveled up my theory on the paper trail. But I still think I want the house over the Batmobile. So I'm going to destroy the Batmobile and all of Nerd's hope and fun forever.
Okay. Well, Heather, would it change your mind if you added in the modifier cards?
I don't know, Ryan. Let's take a look at the modifier cards. On track number 1, a fully furnished home available to rent and well under your price range is on their way to fight you. Well, that's not very nice. On track number 2, a completely functional Batmobile with your name on it owes you $500. That actually makes this a much tougher decision for me. Because now if I've got to fight the house, first of all, the house can just squash me and I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've got to light it on fire if I have any chance of winning, which means the house, either I'm dying or the house is getting destroyed.
Sure.
The Batmobile, at least I get $500 out of it and I can just sell it because it's definitely going to sell. Definitely going to sell. You know what? I'll smash the house and I'll save the Batmobile.
Heather, I'm so glad you said that. And for that answer, I'm going to give you 4 points.
I'll take it. That's 34 points for me on this round.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't feel nice to gloat in this scenario. And that brings my running total score up to 10.
It brings you all the way up to 10? Wow, you must have been
60,
real negative.
60. That brings my total score to 60. I think I'm going to recheck that with a calculator and get back to everybody next week. Well, that was fun.
Yes.
Now listen, you know what I thought would be really cool?
What?
If I went on to Ask Reddit, instead of finding stories that already exist, and ask people for their stories. And so I did. I said, what is the most obnoxious thing you've personally seen an influencer do? And I received a single response.
Wow.
Which was disheartening. But I got one response. I got 3 shares.
Nice.
And nobody from any of the other shares commented. So I've got one comment. In answer to the question, what is the most obnoxious thing you've personally seen an influencer do? Wet Blanket Gravy said, go to that forest at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan. And in case you don't know what that is in reference to, I can't remember the name of the mountain, but tons of people commit suicide there every year.
Mm-hmm.
It is like a suicide hotspot, and it's supposedly haunted because of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of uncool. Like, why would you go be like, oh, let's see if we find someone hanging from a tree. Like, don't do that.
Sure.
That's not cool.
Is that what they went there to do, or were they, like, ghost hunting? Like,
well, I don't know, because he doesn't say that in his comment. But I'm going to assume that it was for that, because if you're going there ghost hunting, I don't know that it's that obnoxious. A lot of people do ghost hunting videos.
Right.
So I actually do have a personal story of the most obnoxious thing I've ever seen an influencer do. And I'm pretty sure if I've told it on the podcast, it's in an episode that is not on the feed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell the story, and if you've heard it before, I'm sorry, but here it goes. I was at the beach, on Lake Erie. There was these 2 kids there, teenage boys, videoing themselves, doing everything. I'm assuming they were influencers and doing it for YouTube. I could be wrong.
Sure.
But it was for TikTok. I'm sure it was for something. These 2 deer come strutting out onto the, I'm going to call it a jetty. I know that's not the right word. It's like a big break wall. And they're walking along the top of it, but it's like a wide thing. Like you can walk on top of it safely without falling off of it.
Yeah.
And one of the kids gets so excited that they're deer. He's like, oh my God, I want to get a selfie. He screams. He's like, starts running after the deer.
Mm-hmm.
He chases them down the break wall, down the jetty. They jump off into the water. And the water that day was very, very choppy.
Oh boy.
It was like an ocean. Okay, and these 2 poor deer. This is how I learned, by the way, deer can swim. They can swim. Didn't know that.
Neither did I.
One of them swam all the way back to shore and was saved. The other one did not make it. He just went further and further out. Now, it's possible he hit shore at some other location.
Sure.
Or ended up in Canada, 14-ish miles away on the shore. But I just don't know what happened to that other one. We didn't see him come back. And I remember thinking, you tiny fucking little idiot. Why did you think they were going to stand there and wait for you to come up to them with your camera and your selfie? Have you never met a deer?
Right.
Have you never experienced a deer ever? Are you stupid? And you probably killed one of them senselessly. I was very mad. Sorry, that's not a happy, funny story.
Right.
But that just shows you how obnoxious. I spittled a lot during my rant and got some on my computer screen. That's how angry that made me. Now,
that's hilarious.
I realize that is not a whole lot of stories.
Sure.
So I did another question to ask Reddit, which I actually had meant to share. Shout out to Kat and Cindy from True Hauntings and Scary Stories, who did our special Halloween episode with us last week. I meant to share these stories in that episode and totally forgot to, so I'm going to share them in this episode because of the really poor showing to what I thought was a great question for Ask Reddit that nobody else thought was great. And this question is, what is the most bizarre or mysterious way someone you know has died? Because you can ask things like that on Reddit and it's not inappropriate.
Didn't we cover this in another episode?
I think we covered something similar, but
Okay.
In this instance, I actually asked this specific question and got answers that we didn't cover before.
Okay.
These are new answers. All right. The question again, what is the most bizarre or mysterious way someone you know has died? From Marissa Latex. My dentist was found dead in his office. No sign of trauma other than a cut to the forehead that did not bleed. The pathology all came back clean, and the autopsy was inconclusive for any obvious sign of death. The assumption is that he literally dropped dead and hit his head on his desk as he fell.
Wow.
Which is why the cut didn't bleed. And I actually asked this person how old was he, and she said, or he or she, Marissa, I'm assuming she says, I don't know, mid-50s?
Huh.
So if Marissa Latex is like 20,
Yeah.
mid-50s might look a lot older than it does to say you or me.
Sure.
So, but I'm wondering if he was just a really old man and just like natural causes died as he was standing and fell over and hit his head. That's what I'm thinking. What you looking up?
Nothing. My watch was blowing up. I was trying to see what the hell was going on. Nothing important.
Yeah, I know, because we're recording. Okay? From Mario Panayaris. One of my relatives burned himself to a crisp while dressed as a mummy on Halloween, decades ago. It was either a mummy or a werewolf. I can't remember, and I really don't want to ask. Anyway, he lit a cigarette And whatever he used for the costume went up immediately, and he was engulfed.
Oh, my God.
He died in a hospital a while later. I imagine it looked pretty horrific, but also probably fairly spectacular. I mean, hey. The guy literally went down in flames. Poor bastard. Also, hey, let's learn a lesson from this. If you're wearing a head-to-foot store-bought Halloween costume, just assume it's going to catch on fire if you get anywhere near a flame.
Good advice, Heather.
And I've told this story before when I lit my bathroom robe on fire. As I'm not going to go over it again. Also caught my daughter's hair on fire, whatever, in a previous episode.
Wow,
check it out.
Heather.
Yeah. Did I not tell you the story? I think I've told the story.
You've told the story.
The point being, when I lit that match, it was like a foot away from the robe, and the robe still caught fire.
Holy crap.
Interestingly, when it was on fire, I beat the fire out, and the robe itself was not burned at all. So whatever that layer of flammable whatever was on there, whatever chemical that was burning independent of the robe, oddly.
Wow.
Unlike my daughter's hair, which was just burning.
It was not burning independently.
It was not burning independently
of
her
independently.
Whole body. I smacked it out first. It was great. Okay, anyway. We're all alive and well, and she doesn't remember it because she was too small. Stop it. I'm a good mother. I'm a good mother.
I've never caught my children on fire.
Okay. It was an accident. A. B. I just listened to a true crime episode of a podcast today. I'm doing okay. All right?
Well done, Heather.
Thank you. Well, that is all we had for this episode, folks. Thanks for listening to all of that. Possibly I'm not sure if I want to, you know what, it'll stay. It'll just stay. It is what it is.
About catching your daughter on fire?
Beep! Send us your stories. Email us. DM me on Instagram. You can go to Reddit and comment in Reddit. Email is thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com. Instagram is @thepoliticsfreepodcast, and Reddit is, or the subreddit is Politics Free Podcast, all one word, no punctuation. Share the podcast by telling somebody about it. Tell somebody about it today. One person for us. And hit that follow and subscribe button. Depending on which app it might say subscribe, it might say follow. Hit that button. It might look like just a little plus sign by itself with nothing else. Hit that. It might say subscribe. Hit that. It might be a check mark. Hit that. If you haven't figured it
out there.
We'd like you to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode and have an incredibly fantastic, successful, and wonderful happy week.
Until we play again.